It is being called the biggest cover-up in history. UFO whistleblowers testifying on Capitol Hill that the United States has been in possession of non-human craft since the 1930s.
As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. Parts of our government are aware of more about UAP than they let on, but excessive classification practices keep crucial information hidden.
Well, that UFO whistleblower, Ryan Graves, is a former F-18 Navy pilot and executive director for Americans for Safe Aerospace, and he joins us right now, live from New Hampshire. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
This hearing yesterday was really something, because I don't think, I think a lot of people think, oh, UFO, it's just one of those science fiction things. You have seen one with your own two eyes, and as we just heard from your testimony yesterday, a lot of commercial pilots and military pilots see them all the time.
It's not quite as rare as at least I thought before I joined the Navy. But, we started seeing objects pretty much on a daily basis once we upgraded our radar systems to a more advanced system. We then correlated those with other systems on our jet, and eventually we saw them with our own eyeballs. They look like dark gray or black cubes inside of a clear sphere. And we were always hitting these objects.
You got within 50 feet of one of these things. So describe the last time you saw one.
Well, I did not get within 50 feet, believe it or not. A colleague in my squadron had a near midair with one of these objects where they were flying into the entry point to our area. This object went between two F-18s on the way in within 50 feet. That was actually the first time we were able to gain a visual sighting of the object. Myself and others, we would try to fly up to these objects within about 500 feet for safety reasons. And they were very difficult to spot. But since we started having this problem initially, more and more pilots from the military have come forward, and I've been speaking with pilots who are still seeing these almost a decade later in the same place.
Sure. And looking in, it looks like to a lot of people that the United States government knows a lot more than they're saying. Why would they want to keep this such a big secret?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to the whole national security side of this conversation, not wanting to reveal ways and means of intelligence gathering and system capabilities. And all that's fine, but the fact of a fundamental reality of our nature can't be ignored or classified. So UAP themselves, I think that the security classification guideline that defined what about UAP is classified and what is not, I think that needs to be taken a look at. I think Congress needs to be involved so that we ensure that the American people are transparent on this conversation.
Sure.
Commercial aviators have this exact same problem as the military aviators. However, the commercial markets have not accepted or acknowledged that this is a true aviation safety hazard. And so there's a big discrepancy right now between how the military is mitigating this safety issue, national security issue, and how the commercial markets are ignoring this.
Sure. And I know you don't know. This could be man-made. It could be something from somewhere else, and that is not known right now. But I know that after you had seen one of these things for the first time, you were probably reluctant to tell people, hey, by the way, when I was up in the Hornet, I saw a UFO, because then people would think, Ryan, you're crazy.
Yeah, we didn't even recognize it as a UFO when we were seeing these amongst ourselves. We initially just thought they were errors. Then we thought they were some type of classified program. But over time, as the story evolved, the range of options of what it could be narrowed and narrowed, and we still don't know what they are today. However, there has been work done. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office at the Department of Defense has recently stated that about 50% of the objects they are seeing worldwide resemble the objects we are seeing on the eastern seaboard. Spheres traveling anywhere from stationary to 2.0 Mach, and making extremely sudden accelerations and sudden movements. I think it's extremely important to say that Congress wasn't fully aware of how big of an aviation safety issue this was. I think one of the biggest successes out of this hearing was that they acknowledged this as a national security and an aviation safety risk. And I encourage others to go to safeaerospace.org and sign up and show Congress just how many people support this conversation.
Well, the conversation has started and you were part of it. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us today and telling us your story.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.